Worldview. What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Beautiful people, beautiful people. Give me a second. Let me share some things out. We're going to get into what we got to get into today. If you're looking at this on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, you already see. If you hit it on the Move Swiftly podcast, you already see what we're doing out here with our lives. We're defining. YouTube, LinkedIn, you already see. We're defining worldview, folks. We are defining what worldview is all about, how to develop it, how to understand it. Understand it didn't just drop out the sky. It was really something that was embedded in you, and we got to define it. If we don't define, if we don't know it, then got big problems. Got big problems. But we're gonna get into all that. Let me just get everything up and running here. All right. Big problems, but we're gonna get into all that. Let me just get everything up and running here. All right, so right into it. Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time of day you may be consuming this. Welcome to another Make Your Move Monday. Every single Monday, we start our Make Your Move Mondays with a kick-off question. First of all, before I get into that, let me introduce myself to anybody that may be new to my world, new to the whole way we do things over here in the Move Swiftly brand, the Move Swiftly business. My name, Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. What the whole Move Swiftly business is all about is taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so they have a staff, they have a group of employees that moves as efficiently, as eagerly, as productively, as hungry as a championship high school or youth football team. That is what we do here. We translate that passion, that eagerness, that hunger to be great, that desire to want to go out and win one for the team, baby. Oh, you can tell football season's coming back. You can tell it's inching closer because my energy starts. I'm a high energy guy initially, but as we start getting to weekend after weekend and football is coming back, we're getting to the place where the NBA finals is approaching. That means football is coming back. The energy, the feeling, the air is getting lighter, the wind, the sky is getting bluer. It's starting to get beautiful outside, right? So that's what we do. We take that same eagerness. As you can tell, I've played the game, coached the game, scouted the game. We take that same energy and I teach business owners how to make it so their staff has that level of passion, has that level of eagerness, has that level of drive, and they start to apply it in their own business. All right. So first and foremost, let me knock out some of these announcements real quick, and we will get it going today. First and foremost, business owners, if you have not yet, here's a very easy first step for you to come into my world. Just go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. You heard me correctly. It is a free guide, free guide that is going to teach you how to it's going to start teaching you. It's not going to fully deep dive, but it's going to start teaching you, hey, some of the important things that you need to do in order to make it so that staff, the people that you have working for you are coming to work or coming to your business and they have a level of hunger to them. All right. So it's talking about establishing measurables, creating a professional distance, and create a productive environment. It's like a math problem, right? Establish the measurables. There's a professional distance, and then a productive environment comes out of that. All right. So go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Again, you can look me up. I've been around the block when it comes to this. I know a lot of things. I know a lot of stuff. A lot of information is right here in this head of mine. So I broke it down into 10 steps in which you can start utilizing right now. We'll set up a meeting and we can, kind of go from there. But the first thing you need to do is go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Now, of course, if you're ready to go ahead and develop and get me in to come speak to your staff now, you can go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. You can shop there. You can purchase a couple books. You can even learn more about me if you still need more information. All of that is available on makeyourmove.com. And, again, here, if you would like, Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. Yeah. I was looking at, for podcast listeners, I was looking at something on Make Your Move. And yes, you can listen to the podcast here on makeyourmove.com right there. Again, that's why I call it a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. All right. So here is what we are going to start doing. Here's what I've sort of started to adjust to this because I personally regardless of what goes on in this world, I'm going to always commit to self-development, personal and professional development. And a lot of great things are coming down the pipeline. A lot of great opportunities are coming up for me because of the consistency and how frequently I put out quality content. All right. So like I was explaining to you, if you listen to today's Move Swiftly thought this morning. So I do a Move Swiftly thought every morning, and Mondays and Tuesdays, particularly, the thought is in alignment with the actual live stream that I'm going to be doing. The thought is kind of like a teaser, like an appetizer in terms of what it is I'm going to be talking about today and what I'm going to be doing a deep dive on today. Between Monday and Tuesday, it's like that. All right. So when I started to introduce the topic, when it came to today's topic in terms of how you define your worldview, I want to make sure it's clear and you guys understand it came from a place in which I was incredibly frustrated. I was incredibly annoyed. I was incredibly just really aggravated with the kinds of people that the worldview of some of the people that I have to see and work with on a day-to-day basis. All right. It's very important that you guys understand that in order for me to do this work, because there's a lot of folks a lot of folks out here listening that look at me or look at the work I do. I'm like, I want to do that one day. I want to run my own podcast. I want to run my own business. I want to do this. I want to do feeling, a lot of people say they want to do it, but when it comes to actually putting it down and making sure it gets done, you are always running from discomfort. You're always running from disagreements. You're always running from a situation in which is not going to be where you're not likely to win, right? You're not likely to at least win the battle that you're in. You're not likely to win the small battle that you may be in. And you're always going into a comfort zone, something that feels familiar at the moment, but not realizing how that's actually going to deter you from success. All right. Slipping into these comfort zones and slipping into these cliques and slipping into a situation where everybody is agreeing with you and everybody just understands your point of view, and not moving into a situation, not staying a part of a situation in which you're the outlier, right? You're the unicorn. You're the one that is always being blamed for something. Every time you do something well, every time you do something good, nobody pays attention to it. Nobody praises you for it. No one gives you any credit. But the minute you mess up, the minute you make a mistake, everyone's going to jump on you. Everyone's going to continuously remind you about the mistake you made. All right. So I deal with that on a daily basis. All right. I deal with that every single day. The majority of people that I have to work with on a daily basis, no, I do not agree with their worldview. I do not like the way they think. I do not like what they make a priority, what they don't make. I do not like it. And as I said this morning, I said, you know what I can do about it? Not a damn thing. But focus my energy and thank. Ultimately, I've gotten to the point where I'm almost thanking God. I'm almost thanking God. I'm thanking my parents. I'm thanking my significant other. I'm thanking the people who I value and are close to me for helping me see how much of a blessing that is. When I'm around people I work with that I genuinely don't like, I genuinely disagree with, that doesn't mean you be an asshole about it. That doesn't mean you get into arguments every single 2 seconds about it. That doesn't mean you keep fighting it. You simply accept it. You move on. You be professional. You be respectful. And you give, my girl always says, you got to give grace and understand there's certain folks who were raised that way, that developed that worldview, and it conflicts with your worldview. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a part of life. You don't get to use that excuse. I remember actually telling my mother this maybe about a year and a half ago. Me and my mother have these long conversations, and I was kind of venting about a situation. I was bemoaning a situation, as I've done once or twice, say that jokingly, Mom. But I remember I was telling her about something that I was upset about, and then explaining to her, look, when it comes to as one Crookshank's ambition and the things that I've told you I want to do with my life, I don't get to use that as an excuse. I don't get to use, oh, well, so-and-so didn't do this for me and so-and-so didn't do. I don't get to use that as a damn excuse. All the sports movies I watch, all the games I've played and the great coaches I've been around, the great teammates I've had, I don't get to use some excuse about because somebody else didn't do this, I didn't get the work I wanted to get done, right? So here's what I did, and I'll let me put the article up now. So I'll read through the article with you guys as I normally do Monday through Wednesday, right? So when it comes to the thing that I pursue and how I pursue and what I'm all about, it's about making sure that when you are around folks, and this is what we're going to be diving into throughout the week, when you're around folks who you genuinely don't like, you have got to figure out, and the message, I guess the main thing that needs to be said here is you got to make sure you're not letting your dislike for them or not letting their difference of opinion affect your success and affect where it is you're trying to go, because that's ultimately what they want happening. Okay. You get people who are ignorant. You get people who are so tunnel vision, so closed off to any new possibilities, any opportunities that could be coming on the pipeline. They're so closed off that they want everybody to think like them. They want everybody to embrace this victim mentality like them, so they have an excuse not to put in the necessary work and put in the work that they need to be putting in order to make something happen. That's where things get that right there is where a lot of the folks who don't share your worldview or don't share a worldview that requires some uncomfort, a lot of uncomfort, requires you to absorb rejection, requires you to it so, hey, look, somebody disagrees, somebody don't like, somebody wants to talk about me behind their back. Okay, they think that it's okay to develop clicks and not actually produce results. That person, they want you to be miserable with them. All right. So all that being said, again, I could talk for hours on this. Let me read through I'm going to read through the article, and then obviously I'll dive deeper into certain points and make certain points as we read through it. So podcast listeners, I am reading directly from the article, medium.com. Follow me on Medium too, by the way. It's medium.com at MoveSwiftly44. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel. This thing is taken off in ways that you would have never. I'm telling you, it's either get on or get off. I'm telling you, man, things are going down. So I'm reading it directly, folks. All right, so here we go. Here we are again. Another Make Your Move Monday kickoff question. How do you define your worldview? If this is your first time consuming my content, firstly, nice to meet you. Secondly, just know this is how we start the week around here, with a question that's designed to punch you in the gut a little, a question that puts self-accountability right in front of you so you can't ignore it. Today's question came from a very real, very frustrating place. Because right now, in order for me to create the kind of content I do at the pace I do it and the level of quality I demand from myself, I have to engage with people I fundamentally disagree with. Our worldviews just don't align. And here's the kicker. There's not a damn thing I could do about it except accept it. All right. Accept, EXCEPT, accept. ACCEPT. Accept it, adapt, and move forward. So I did what I always do when I hit a wall. I asked a better question. Here's the big thing. Let me pause it right there. I'm going to pause it right there. All right. Hear me, folks. Hear me, listeners. When you hit your walls in life, all right, when you hit your walls in your day-to-day, there are going to be some walls. There are going to be some things that happen to you that are just plain and simple shitty. It's going to suck. It's going to suck. Life is going to knock your ass down, and you listen. There are going to be some things happening to you that just flat out suck. All right. Here's what you got to do in those moments is you got to ask yourself a better question. You got to ask yourself a better question. I'll tell you a quick story because I remember I was with my girl all weekend, and I was explaining to her some of the things that I actually had to live through just to get to Florida. And one of those things one of those things was when I first got out here to Florida, I was in St. Petersburg. And I remember I was out here for like a week. So not even a week, but I was in Tampa because, St. Pete, Tampa, and there's another area, Bradenton area, St. Pete's, Tampa area. I'm missing something. I miss St. Pete, Tampa, Clearwater. Yeah, Clearwater. That area right there is where I wanted to be because there was this school named Visible Man Academy, and I was trying to build a connection and go work for the Buccaneers and all that. Like that was kind of the area. But the problem is I knew nobody. I didn't have a job offer. I didn't know anybody. In Tampa, literally, I got a place in St. Petersburg and everything. Literally, I just drove out in the middle of the night, just started to figure it out. So when I first got out there, I remember I was on. I can't remember the name of the highway in Tampa, but I was driving, and my tires just blew, just out the nose, just completely blew again, and I was like, oh. This can't be happening now. Like, how the hell do I get from Maryland? I drive from Maryland, stop at South Carolina for a football game, and from South Carolina, I drove all the way to Tampa, all the way to Florida. All right, that was the trip. I have not been back to Maryland since. This was in 2016. Okay, I've been back. I've been back just to like visit, like flew back and all that, but I haven't been back. I moved out here now. So I get all the way here, get all the way to Florida, and then my car decides it's gonna, blow the tire. So, I guess it's sort of a blessing in itself. But anyway, again, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So what I did actually was I took a tow truck. I bought a tow truck. I obviously had to pay a tow truck to get me to the nearest tire shop. And because the car was there, what I had to do was I slept in the car, it was my dad's Mercedes-Benz. So I slept in the car at the tire shop and woke up the next morning. Luckily, there was a Dunkin' Donuts right there. And, all my stuff is obviously packed. So brushed my teeth, did my thing. And then the next morning, got my tires fixed and boom, was on with my day. So when it comes to the reason I'm bringing that story up is because when you hit a wall, you got to ask a better question. I had to personally ask myself when I'm going through this and when I'm in a situation where I'm in the highway, I don't know nobody, and the car I have is the tires just blow. Okay, you better ask something better. You got to ask the better question that's going to lead you to a result right now and get you out of the situation. I remember she was responding like, those are some pretty serious survival skills, right? Serious survival skills. So as I was in the moment dealing with a group of people that my worldview, this doesn't align with theirs. Luckily, there's a ChatGPT that's going to help that I've become used to. I'm learning to use as a real self-development tool, as a tool for self-development. I've trusted ChatGPT to really give me some clarity on what my next stage is, what my next phase is, what exactly I need to be doing in the right now, right? Because again, when I have this mind that is bouncing all over the place, and many times I can lose focus on what it is I should have been doing at that moment. So I asked ChatGPT, based on everything you know about me, how would you define my worldview? It answered, a centrist. It said, reading directly from the article now, podcast listeners, it answered, a centrist. My first reaction, what? Me? I'm a centrist? But the more I read the definition, the more it clicked. A centrist is someone who holds political and personal views that land somewhere in the middle, not clinging to the far left or far right, but rooted in particularity, logic, and real life results. And yeah, that fits because my entire business, everything I write, speak on, and build is based on innovative teamwork, not division, not extremism, education, the collision, okay? When you care about results more than politics, when your mission is to build teams that actually work, when you're going to collide with people who care more about titles, identity, and personal agendas than the scoreboard. And that's not a light bump. It's a head-on crash. Period. All right. Before I go any further, I want to make sure you guys understand that because so we're clear now. What I do, again, first first time listeners, I want to make sure I'm on the record explaining this to you in case it is your first time coming in here. Mondays, when I give the Make Your Move kickoff question on Mondays, I also answer the question myself. So there's some context so I can be, hold myself accountable when it comes to practicing what I preach and doing the work that I am passionate about and teaching you as a business owner how exactly to lead, teaching you as a business owner what's going to get the most out of your staff, what's going to get the most out of your employees, what's going to get the most out of the people that work for you is if you're transparent enough to show your flaws, if you're transparent enough to actually lead and say, hey, these are the things that I do well. These are the things that I don't do so well. These are the things that we can collaborate on. These are the things that we can push forward on. So we ultimately, again, whether we agree or we disagree, personal values, all that other shit, that don't matter. At the end of the day, this is what I'm at. This is where I'm at with it. This is where you at with it. Let's go create some results. All right. So that's what I do every Monday when it comes to the kickoff question. I'm going to make sure I'm on the record explaining that for you newcomers here. So let me go back. Let's go back just a little bit. All right. So when I found out, again, through ChatGPT, and this is, I use it multiple times a day. The data that's about me online, when they look me up, a lot of it for the most part is very authentic, very transparent. And you could tell by just the way I'm speaking to you now, incredibly transparent. I've developed such a presence online that any sort of AI tool is going to be able to pick up enough information about me to give somewhat of an accurate answer when questions are asked in a blunt and direct way. All right. So when I asked ChatGPT how I define my worldview, they said a centrist. All right. A centrist, because my entire business, well, let me define centrist for you one more time. A centrist is someone who holds political and personal views that land somewhere in the middle, not clinging to the far left or far right, but rooted in practicality, logic, and real life results. Because my entire business and everything I write and speak on and build is based on innovative teamwork, not division, not extremism, and execution. So the collision now, because this is where we want to get to, the collision comes from when I care more about results than politics, when my mission is to build teams that actually work, I'm going to collide. I'm going to constantly. It's not going to happen, basically. All right. It is going to happen every single time. I am always going to collide with folks who care more about their damn titles, their identity, their personal agendas, and what it is they want for their own personal bullshit than the actual results on the scoreboard. I come from the football world. Where you could do a lot of this, a lot of talking, a whole lot of talking. If results ain't where the results need to be, if you didn't win the fucking game, then you didn't win. Okay, it's not a success. That's the point. So you can talk all you want about titles, and you can talk all you want about stats. You can talk all you want about who did what. You got to win the damn game. You got to win the game or shut up. All right, that's the world we come from. It's either you win or you lost. Period. And let's go get better. That's it. That's the mentality that I take. So as I continue, as it hit, because I'm looking at ChatGPT, I don't know these answers. Like, I don't know these answers. I'm just putting it in because I need to get my mind away from some of these people that I work with. I need to get my outlet for my own mental health so I can do what I do at a high level. So it really got me interested. It really got me interested in terms of where a lot of these thoughts come from. So going back directly to the article, so it's not a light bump, it's a head-on crash. I even asked ChatGPT to list the type of people a raging liberal tends to dislike. It broke it down brilliantly. So put raging liberal out there. Let me define raging liberal really, really quick. So we're all on the same page. Raging liberal definition. Let's put it into Google search really, really quick. All right. Raging liberal definition. Let's see if they have it. Let's see if it. Inclined to be open to ideas and ways of behaving that are not conventional or traditional. Roger Laban, Father of 20, philosophy, liberalism, newspaper, Democrat. Let me see if I can get a practical definition here. Practical definition. Raging liberal. Let's see if they have some here. International characterized by conflict, all states. All right. All right, I don't really see a great but I mean, I can tell you the thing that I was frustrating me was the idea. Here's what happened. Yeah, so so I'll tell you what made me put that in ChatGPT. So 2 weeks ago, when I put out the article about let me put it up on the screen for you guys to see here. So last Saturday, I put out the article about Trump and Nick Saban, and I was talking about how it kind of validated the work I do and stuff like that. Because when Saban had retired, and around the time Saban retired, this is when I published this book, Transferring D1. For you podcast listeners, I'm putting up Transferring D1, Practical Guide on How to Navigate the Chaotic World of College Athletics. And there were a lot of things in this book that Nick Saban had actually said on camera, like a lot of things in terms of making NIL fair and all that kind of stuff. So when he did some stuff, when there was the rumors of the stuff that was coming out with him doing some stuff with Trump, I put out a post about how that validates some of the work I did, and I got some comments of some raging some raging people that weren't big fans. These people who have Trump's derangement syndrome is just everything is bad Trump, bad Trump, bad Trump. They had some choice words and things like that. So that's what made me actually put it in ChatGPT. So I was reacting to that, and then so going back to the article directly now, I even asked ChatGPT to list the type of people a raging liberal tends to dislike. It broke it down brilliantly. Then I asked, based on that, what would those people think of me? The answer was clear. Here was the answer. All right, here was the answer. Going directly to the article now, podcast listeners. They said the answer was clear. If you're a centrist who pushes for accountability, results, and discipline, you're a problem to people on either extreme. Whoa! Oh boy, this thing! I'm telling you, this thing. I remember the day all of this information was just being shot out to me, and I was in a different world. I pulled myself from a world of being annoyed and frustrated with some of the people that I work with, and pulled myself into a completely different stratosphere mentally because of the answers that they were giving me. Okay, the answer was clear. If you're a centrist who pushes for accountability, results, and discipline, you are, okay, it's YOUARE, you are a problem. Bolded. It's bolded, folks. Podcast listeners, it is bolded. It said you are a problem to people on either extreme because you can't be controlled. You're not playing for Team Red or Team Blue. You're playing for Team Build. Woo! Come on, man. Okay. He said, this is why I have an article right now that's titled Accurate Information. If you use it the right way, it's going to give you some accurate facts, man. Facts. Like them kids with FACT. Facts. Facts. Listen to me. They're giving you something strong. They said the answer was clear. Answer was clear. If you're a centrist who pushes for accountability, results, and discipline, you are a problem for people on either extreme because you can't be controlled. You're not playing for Team Red or Team Blue. You're playing for Team Build. The raw feedback I needed to hear. I asked you, ChatGPT, go all in. Tell the truth. What flaws do you see in me as a business leader? Here's what came back. Now, before I get to what came back, because that's gonna take some time too as well. Want to make sure you guys understand the power in what happened in that previous segment. All right, when it comes to understanding and knowing, and this is years. I learned this. You can learn. Let me start saying that. You can learn this with or without ChatGPT is what I want to explain to you guys. You can constantly go and seek out and find people that are going to give you the raw, uncut truth. And you can make sure there's certain things that are in place that make it so you are always in a situation where you're not getting things sugar coated to you. Right. So when when they're talking about being controlled, because you can't be controlled, you're not playing for Team Red or Team Blue, you're for Team Build. When it comes to building, that takes work. That takes discipline. That takes you, deciding, hey, maybe I'm not going to pay for, clubbing and going out and maybe looking good. I'm going to sort of put that money into some investments or some property. In fact, just this weekend, I was at another first-time home buyers meeting. And the lady who started up the entire firm, she was talking about how she makes it so all of her realtors own some property. All of her realtors have something that they own, whether it's a lot, whether it's a small complex, something that they're able to do so they can keep on building. All right. Something that they put their money in that's going to grow, not, taking the money that you make and all of a sudden you in the club, you making that motherfucker rain. You in the mall, you buying this, you buy. No, make sure it takes work. It takes you saving some of the cash. It takes you really disciplining yourself. Again, I haven't had one alcoholic beverage since January, since my birthday in January. And I even regret doing that because the next morning I found out how much of a lightweight I've become. The years, right? I tell people that my college self was incredibly embarrassed at the fact that I could barely get through a damn six pack, but more so the grown man self of me was really proud that, hey, you've really done a great job in cleaning up the way, you drinking the alcohol and all that kind of stuff, because it becomes what? Waste of money, waste of time, waste of where that money could be going to your business, could be going to some marketing, could be going to some advertising, the money that you spend on alcohol, right? So let me get back to the article, because I want to make sure I get through this, because I always like to hold myself accountable and tell you the truth about me personally, because I don't have it all figured out. Never do I want to give off the feeling like I just have all the answers. I do not. So the going back to the article, the raw feedback I needed to hear. I then asked ChatGPT to go all in and tell me the truth. What flaw? Here's the question I put into ChatGPT. I said, what flaws do you see in me as a business leader? Here's a taste of what came back. You move too fast, sometimes too fast. You've got genius, but not always filtration. That was the first one. So let me just give you guys some context here, because the first person I shared this with was my girl, and I could hear her on the phone now as I'm recapping this, reading this, just screaming, like, because she's been telling me this for the past couple of weeks. Everything she has said about me, ChatGPT kind of spit out in the same way. So she was like excited that somebody else can say these things, and that's really what it's about. And I tell people all the time, it's one of those relationships where it's important or it's a confirmation. Let me say it like this: more of a confirmation that before you start getting serious with someone, you really, really have to work on having a friendship. You have to work. You have to work on having a friendship with that individual, because I'm just telling you, I know there's a lot of you guys. I mean, listen, we got a lot of stuff going on in the Diddy and all the sexual stuff going on. You let that sex thing rule. You let that sex thing take control of who you're around and who you put in your life. You exhibit cat. Just go look up Cassie and Diddy and all the freak offs and all that bullshit. And ask yourself if that's the kind of lifestyle you want. I'm gonna just leave it at that before I get too off topic here. So anyway, here's a taste of what came back. You move too fast, sometimes too fast. You've got genius, but not always filtration. All right, very true. Number two, second thing. You're still trying to prove something to doubters instead of just serving the believers. Okay. Very, very true. Again, some of the residue, some of the things that come from the football world that are looked at as a positive, or let me not just say football world, because it's just sports in general. If you come from a highly competitive environment, if you're a kid or you're a teenager, whether a teenager, a young preteen, and in fact, my nephew's kind of dealing with the same situation now, whether it's basketball, high level basketball, hockey, tennis, doesn't matter what it is. If you're in a situation where you're dealing with high level competitors, and the pressure's on day in and day out to compete. Like, again, I grew up in a household where it was good counsel to math. If you go look up that rivalry, all 365 days out of the year, we as good counsel football players parents were being asked what we gonna do against the math of this year. And when I got home with the parents I was raised by, again, I'll be diving deeper into this on Wednesday, but comes to the kind of people I was raised by, it was like, hey man, come on, what's up? What's up? So you going against them dogs, man. So it was a highly, highly competitive environment that I was raised in. So when you look at it, and you see one of my flaws now is still trying to prove something to doubters instead of just serving the believers. That's something I've always sought to get around folks, or I'm learning to be around folks that can control that a little bit, because you still want to have that hunger. You still want to have that. You got to prove something. You still want to have that desire, but you can't be spending your energy and spending your time trying to take that passion, take that delivery, and take all of those good things and be around doubters. All right. That's a waste of energy. That's where you're kind of moving in a direction that is not going to be conducive to the results and the development that you want. All right. It's great line by J. Cole is like, the good news is you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way. Huh? He said, the good news is, nigga, you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way, right? You don't ever want to be that cat that is going a long way, doing what you're doing, but you're just going the wrong way because you're more so interested in proving yourself to doubters instead of serving believers, serving the folks that do got what it is you got to do have what it is you want in them. All right. That was a big one for me when I learned that, right? To the point where I was like, yo, okay, I gotta put myself on the stand. I gotta hold myself accountable and turn this into literally a whole weeks long worth of content. Like, that's where all of it came from, right? So back to the article directly. Number 3 is you critique broken systems, but still try to earn their validation. Again, very similar to what I said in number 2 is, yes, if you kept up with me for a significant amount of time, even just yesterday, there was the situation with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. And I tell you, I didn't like the way first of all, I didn't like 2 years ago when Angel Reese was the one, with the can't see me and doing all this, ring finger and all that. She kind of turned me off from then. And again, I hate talking about this because Angel Reese is from Maryland and I don't like to say anything. It takes a lot for me to say negative stuff about people from Maryland because that's the DMV, man. That's home. That's home right there. That's home. But she was wrong. She was wrong when it came to how she went after Caitlin Clark and, all this mess with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark never does anything to feed into this quote unquote beef. You always see it's her just just doing unnecessary shit, right? So again, I'm bringing this up because the systems, obviously, when it comes to the WNBA and how things work, it's a broken system, but many times I still would go and maybe interview someone that works there, or maybe I'll do work with the WNBA, and many times being willing to do some work with the WNBA, that's me trying to earn their validation, even though I've been incredibly, incredibly critical of their system. So that would be a flaw. And that's just something you're just going to have to work through, right? And then number 4, a common problem amongst all entrepreneurs, just driven people in general, is just doing too much myself. I got to delegate or die, which is again, based on this, I'll be diving deeper into this as we get to the monthly goals and what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be taking away from the monthly goals, what the goals are and things like that. So this was a very, very, very eye-opening and revealing truth that I was reading about myself. So as I'm getting back into the article, let me see where we are on time. All right, we got a couple minutes here. Let me finish out the article and then we'll close out with some final thoughts. So, and the truth is, I needed to hear it because yes, I'm deeply flawed, but I'm also deeply intentional. And every conversation like that one helps me lead with even more clarity the next day. The big mission, my worldview is this. I believe in systems that elevate people, not systems that coddle them, not systems that divide them, systems that build actual winners on the field and in the workplace. period, point blank. That is the quote. That is the basic answer to today's Make You Move kickoff question is. And just to recap now, we talked about how do you define your worldview? And I said a whole lot, went through the entire article with you, but the short and concise way to say it when it comes to me answering the question, and I'm challenging you as I'm talking, I'm saying this, so I'm challenging you as I'm talking to define your worldview as well, is my worldview is this. I believe in systems that elevate people, not systems that coddle them. There's a difference, all right? A system that elevates a person is a system that is going to get up in your ass. Get up in your ass when you're not doing and you're not producing the results, and your day-to-day is not producing the results that they need to make, that they need to be producing. The systems that coddle folks is what we see in our school system, right? What we see with tenure, what we see with a certain salary, what we see in most of the colleges all of the damn colleges that exist, is that we coddle them. We make a kid believe that just because you're doing this in college, just because you're going through the motions, all of a sudden it's going to lead to some six-figure salary at the end of all of this. So they tell you to get more school and then more school and then more school. Basically, the way the system works is they are enticing you to go pay for more schooling because they say, hey, if you get a master's, your salary now starts at $80K. Well, the school system doesn't control that. The actual business owner, the corporation, the one running the damn business, that's who's going to tell you how much you can make. Not the person that is offering you this master's or telling you this master's is you can start doing this. That's where the system is coddling you, and you don't get it. You don't realize it. You just say, fuck it. Look, the concept, it's like Kanye said, the concept of school seems so secure. The systems that coddle people, you need to get out of that. You need to get out of that mental, that framework, and start to build a system that is elevating people. Now, again, this is where I get, I myself need to be working on this. If my worldview is I believe in a system that elevates people. And there's some people, again, who have been indoctrinated to believe in a system that coddles them. And when I say that, all of a sudden they're offended, and they don't want to hear anything else I have to say. All right, that's fair. That's okay. That's fine. I'm just going to keep going. So not a system that coddles them, not systems that divide them. Again, you see our politics. You see exactly. I have another article that is written that's about, hey, I don't see why there's even a two-party system. I don't even know where the hell this shit started, a two-party system. I don't believe in systems that divide them. But again, obviously, the politics and the things that go on, there's certain folks that have been indoctrinated to believe that. That's okay. It has to happen. You're going to disagree with some folks. I got to practice what I preach, right? And then systems that build actual winners on the field and in the workplace. I believe that this was as accurate of a definition, or as a definition that you can possibly get. Systems that build actual winners on the field and in the workplace. When it comes to the places I've been, when it comes to the places that I have really dedicated my life and dedicated my worldview from, you see that they've become winners. They become programs. They become things that have been defined by how much they've actually won on the field. And that's just what I'm used to. And again, some people aren't used to that. So that is today's Make Your Move kickoff question. Is I challenge every last one of you to really think about it. And if you got to use ChatGPT, use ChatGPT. But really, 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 or if you have someone in your life that's very honest with you, that will be very honest with you and tell you directly what it is you need to hear, make sure you ask them. Don't shy away from it, but really ask them, how would you define my worldview? And you can't get offended by the answer. You just can't. You just got to accept it and say, hey, there's some folks that have that worldview. I have my worldview. Be respectful, be professional, and, go out and try to make the best of whatever the situation may be. And that's what it's really all about. In fact, tomorrow, it's actually the perfect lead. And I didn't plan that, by the way. Tomorrow, we will be defining we will be going through the top 5 ways of how to cope with folks that have a worldview that is not that. Let me do this. That is conflicting with. Let me pull it up really, really quick. Let me pull this up real quick. Yes. So We're going over this tomorrow, 7:10 in the morning. Oh, good. That wasn't even sure. All right. Going over this tomorrow. Top 5 ways to cope with conflicting worldviews. People who have conflicting worldviews. We'll dive deeper into all that tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, you share this out with whoever needs to hear it and all that good stuff. So everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.